This is a tier list of all of the brawlers in Brawl Stars from F to S based on how good they are, and if you should max them out or not. A or S tier, you should max them out. Shelly, B tier, great against tanks and assassins, but struggles at longer ranges. Nita, a tier, broken hypercharge with great gadgets, only lacks range. Colt, a tier, has a decent hyper and loads of damage, but has no assassin counter and high skill capped at H. Bull, C tier, struggles in the current meta, and is only sort of viable in Showdown. Primo, B tier, same situation as Bull except a bit better. Barley, B tier, his hypercharge is great, but is outclassed by other throwers. Poco, C tier, great healing capabilities, but no assassin counter and mid damage. Rosa, D tier, she lacks a counter to range brawlers because of her short range, and her low DPS makes her an easy matchup for assassins and DPS. Brock, D tier, mid damage, other marksmen are better. Jessie, B tier, she has a broken hyper and good range. Her shots chaining is an underrated feature, but she lacks an assassin counter. Dynamite, C tier, outclassed by other throwers who do more. Tick, B tier, has a hyper and long range but little health. 8-bit, a tier, he has a okay hyper. His super is super useful for team modes, but too slow. Rico, S tier, his shots control any map with walls and counters assassins. Daryl, B tier, good damage and mobility, but high DPS can counter him. Penny, S tier, turret is broken. Carl, B tier, okay hyper, but not enough DPS. Jackie, D tier, not enough range and no upsides big enough to offset that. Gus, a tier, solid support and damage. Bo, C tier, low damage and gets countered a lot, but has good control. Ems, C tier, only good to counter tanks. Stu, S tier, great hyper and range. Super counters most assassins. Piper, B tier, no longer the best marksman. Pam, B tier, underrated healing, but struggles against DPS and assassins. Frank, a tier, not S tier anymore, but is still viable. BB, B tier, good damage and hyper, but not enough range for a tier. B, a tier, hyper is broken on open maps and gadget is useful. One of the better marksmen. Nanny, B tier, good damage but hard to hit shots, super counters assassins. Edgar, C tier, only counters some throwers and controllers. Griff, a tier, high damage to counter tanks and decent health. Grom, a tier, gadget and hyper good for control. Bonnie, C tier, recent rework helped her recharge super. Gale, B tier, counters assassins and has okay damage. Colette, a tier, counters tanks and OP in heist. Belle, B tier, okay damage, but gets countered by assassins. Ash, a tier, hyper helped him. If played correctly, he can do massive damage. Lola, B tier, the hypercharge makes her B tier. She has good DPS, but not much else. Sam, B tier, his hyper is underrated, but he lacks range. Mandy, a tier, one of the best marksmen with her hypercharge. Macy, a tier, super counters a lot of tanks and assassins combined with high damage. Hank, S tier, his hyper was a major buff and has team wipe abilities. Pearl, B tier, very underrated. She counters assassins and Lou, S tier, hyper super is broken and her free kill and or team wipe. Buzz, a tier, hyper is good and the stun effect is a free kill. Buster, C tier, hyper doesn't really help him and he gets counter hard. Gray, a tier, gadgets are good and hyper is good. Willow, B tier, new hyper is mid, but the super and main attacks are very annoying. Doug, F tier, needs a rework. Chuck, C tier, only good in heist unless you are good with him, and that's a high skill cap. Melody, S++ tier, she is tall again and is definitely the best brawl in the game plus is very hot. Mo B tier got nerfed, but still pretty good. Mr. PS tier hyper is broken and main attack is annoying. Ruff's B tier hyper got nerfed but does damage. Fong B tier got a health boost and his hyper is good and does a lot of damage. Eve A tier good hyper and DPS but can't do anything to assassins and marksmen. Janet S tier hyper is op and main attack is good. Otis B tier good hyper but hard to aim and has good DPS. RTC tier not meta and gets countered too much. Charlie F tier hyper is useless and she needs a rework. Miko D tier gets countered by a lot of brawlers and his super got nerfed. Clancy C tier mid hypercharge not meta and got too many nerfs. Juju S tier the way she has 3 different modes is crazy and her super is annoying and possibly the best artillery in the game. Ollie S tier super is broken and it is easy to charge up. Spike B tier good star power to hit a lot of shots but gets counted in this meta. Crow B tier hyper super is good and the regular attacks but gets countered and has no range. Meg B tier not a lot of range and DPS but has 2 lives. Kit A tier good in almost every mode and is a top 3 support brawler in the game. Draco B tier does a lot of damage but is slow and super takes a while to charge. Leon A tier super is an instant kill and hyper super can turn the game around. Sandy, a tier top controller in the game and hyper is good. Amber, C tier gets counted hard and it doesn't do that much DPS. Surge, S tier level 3 to 5 is good, broken hypercharge and counters a lot of brawlers. Chester, a tier broken hyper chase and insane damage. Regular super is not that good. Cordelius, a tier good build and hypercharge is a free kill. Gets countered by some brawlers. Kenji, hesitant face, tier, broken hyperchase, and counters a lot of brawlers.